Hello everyone, Daryl Pritchard here with what I hope isn't too confusing a video capture to look at. This is to talk about Adobe Premiere Pro briefly as a result of an interesting problem that I encountered when I started to go in and white balance a video I was working on. Some quick background, I've previously been using Premiere Pro on a desktop PC configuration where I had three 24-inch monitors, each with a 1920 by 1200, I think it is, resolution. And I built up a new PC and replaced the center monitor with a 32-inch 4K display, 3840 by 2160. So I opened up Premiere Pro 2020 and this video that I had started to work on before I made the monitor change, and I just let it open to the last workspace I used, which had Lumetri Color on the left screen, my timelines on the right screen, and in the center I had my primary application window with the video. But of course, with the new 4K screen, everything was a little bit different, so I started adjusting the workspace, the palettes and placement, things like that, and went on to edit the video. The first thing I did was Lumetri Color white balance, and just to try and show you what I encountered, we go here looking at the center screen. If I select the white balance eyedropper and go to just the center of that gray card, this set of Flyball cards that I'm holding in my hand, we measure that and we get a temperature and tint of 00. Now let's reselect that eyedropper and measure the white card. Same way, temperature and tint 00. Okay. Now let's try the grass, that green, a nice significantly different color. Still 00. Oops. And once again, we'll measure the sky, the blue sky. And there we got a subtle change of 3.6 temperature minus 2.4 tint. So the first thing I'll say as we go through this, I don't know exactly what results we're going to see. I think you will nonetheless see the problem that I've encountered. But I'm not getting easily duplicated results, and I think I'm maybe even getting an idea why that is, and I'll mention that in a moment. But what we've got here on the screen that you're looking at, the full frame view of the video represents my 4K monitor, and I've downsized the Premiere application window there so you can see it a little better between the upper left and upper right windows, which are showing Premiere palettes on the left 24-inch display and the right 24-inch display. Each of those just being a cropped area of the displays, but enough to still illustrate what's going on. Notably, Lumetri Color is on the left-hand screen. So, you've seen when I measured these white balance cards as well as the grass and the sky, we did not notice any particularly significant temperature or tint corrections in our measurement tool settings. Now that was done from the Effect Controls panel here in Premiere. So let's just do the same thing now from the Lumetri panel on the left screen. So I choose the white balance selector tool, and I come back over and I measure, as I did the first time, the center of that gray card. And again, on Lumetri Color, as well as within the Effect Controls Lumetri Color nested menu, either way we still see the same values of 0 and 0 for temperature and tint. Lumetri Color panel again, reselecting the white balance selector, and I'm just going to jump up here to the blue sky, click on that, and we got a minus 2.2 tint, 0 temperature. Now let's try the green. Oops. Go for a little bit more deep green here in the very foreground. And it zeroes things out. So clearly we're getting incorrect measurements there. We should be seeing much more significant shifts in temperature and tint as we go from one color range to another. So I was trying to think, okay, what's wrong with Premiere Pro here? I've never seen this before. And I thought, well, the first thing I did when I came in here was I messed around with the workspaces some. So let's just go back to the default workspace that has everything on one window. Now I'm not going to do that here, I'm just saying that's what I did. When I did so, the white balance tool worked perfectly fine. It measured everything correctly no matter what color I was on. So I thought, okay, what did I do differently from the workspace? And obviously one of the things was I separated these panels out to the left and right secondary monitors, notably Lumetri Color. So now let's bring Lumetri Color onto our main workspace. I'm going to shift it up a little bit higher here on the screen. Now let's go to the Effect Controls dropper for white balance. Choose that, and we'll measure the center of that gray card again. Now we get more realistic adjustments, minus 2.8, minus 0.9, or if we go to the white card, we should see 0 and minus 0.8, and we do. That was consistent with what I was observing the other day under proper conditions. And if we go to the green, you even saw there a more visual shift in the colors toward a heavy blue bias because we measured things out at a relatively, warm is it? Anyway, a temperature of minus 110, tint of 0, of 80. And that's actually not a temperature of 110, that's a temperature adjustment. So it seems that where the Lumetri Color panel resides at in your display configurations governs the accuracy or the correctness of how the white balance selector tool works. So let's just try and measure the same point. White balance selector right to the center of that gray card. We've got minus 3.5, minus 1.4. Now the Lumetri panel, I'm going to downsize it some. Quite a bit actually there. So we've got it fully in the upper half of the screen. And let's measure that card again. So we're at 3.5 and 1.4. And we stayed there. Now let's bring Lumetri Color down into the lower half of the screen. No change. Okay. What about if we choose the flesh color of my skin? Okay, it changed. So where the Lumetri panel here resides on the main monitor doesn't seem to matter. And what I was doing there, the side monitors being 1200 pixels tall, I was positioning the Lumetri Color panel on the 4K monitor here, either above or below what would be a 1200 pixel horizon line. And that's probably about where the top of this video image is. But now let's move Lumetri Color back to the left screen and re-choose our white balance tool. Go to the middle of the gray card, and you see it reset to 0, 0. So that's what I discovered. That's the solution to this problem, at least, is not to move Lumetri Color off the main workspace from our application window. So the question also becomes, what if they were reversed, for example? Let's put the application window on the left screen. Be sure I've got it where we can see it. Now let's measure white balance color tool on the white card. No change. No change on gray. Oh, we got a change there. Okay. Let's go for the sky. So it's giving some adjustments. It looks to be working there. Now, I'm going to move Lumetri Color up into the higher area of the screen above 1200 pixels. Let's try this again. White card. 0, 0. That's probably okay. Gray card. Some correction there. So this is all looking okay for this scenario. And finally, blue sky. So everything there looks good. But if we have our application on the larger workspace with Lumetri Color on the secondary, that's where we run into issues. I'll measure again. White color to white card. 0, 0. So far, so good. White balance on gray card. 0, 0. Not good. It did not change and should have. I'll do it one more time. Let's go for the shadowed fleshy area of my skin. No change. So it's an interesting problem, and I don't know if this is a recognized limitation of Adobe Premiere Pro. I would assume most people, especially graphics professionals, which I am not, probably do generally work with the same displays and same resolutions of display if they are in a multi-monitor configuration. But at the very least, it appears that if you're dealing with a configuration as I am here, you get different results with your white balance selector tool if the Lumetri Color panel is not sharing the same display workspace as your video. Not quite sure what to make of that reverse situation where things were okay. But one thing, I saw this earlier, I'm going to try and do it again. With let's make this window a little bit smaller even. Okay, well, not much smaller. Okay, so we've got, tell you what, let me move this to the left-hand screen. Okay, didn't really do what I thought. I thought it would give me a feel for how high up the screen is 1200 pixels. But this is what I said earlier, is 2160 tall, so 1080 high at the midpoint. So as long as I'm less than half the height, I am below the 1200 pixel equivalent of a side monitor. So we're going to measure, let's think about things here too. You'll notice here in the background, I've got kind of the sunset orange tint just above the horizon, which we're going to just put the gray card. This one here is roughly over that. Now we're going to make a measurement. Center point of the gray card. No change. Now let's put it kind of over the water here. I mean, it's a distinctly different color, but not by a great well, yeah, it is by a great amount. Choose my white balance tool and gray card, and it made no change. Now that's off screen, so you can't see it, but in any case, no measurement change there between two rather different colored areas of the video. I'm sorry. Measuring the same color space area of the video with two different colors in the background behind the application screen made no difference. But let's go up here above 1200, and this is relative to the cards, not where the bottom of the application window is. So our gray card is above 1200 pixels. And we go to measure that now. we got 58 and 8.9. Bring it down, make a measurement, 0, 0. So even that, to me, I find very interesting. It's that in this case, you know, I have my monitors bottom aligned, so 1200 pixels up on the 4K screen should, in a sense, you might say it kind of map to the left or right displays. But under that condition, Lumetri Color gives you incorrect measurements. On the other hand, if you move it into the upper 1200 pixels of the screen, it gives you what appear to be probably correct measurements. There's blue, 128, 15.9. Gray card, white card, or grass. So I just find this interesting, and it makes me think I need to get another big 4K monitor and get rid of my 24s. Feel free to make any comments if you happen to be aware of this. It may be, like I say, it may be a known limitation of how Premiere is designed in a multi-monitor, multi-resolution display configuration as I have here. As long as I know the solution, it's not really a big problem. What it does do is it introduces to me a question of what other controls might there be in Premiere that could similarly give me very unusual results if I'm making any kind of measurement. But because I'm not as familiar with the concept of what that given tool is, I may not realize I'm getting a bad measurement from it. White balance I understand, so I know if I go to distinctly different areas of color in this video and measure them, I should get distinctly different temperature and tint adjustments. So when I didn't, I was like, uh-oh, we've got a problem. There you go. Thanks for visiting.